Hey guys, there's this story going around that I want to talk about, but I want to give a little history regarding this subject before I get into the story. As you all know, or may not know, I know some of you are a lot of history buffs out there. You know that there is hardcore evidence, fact-based statements that the white woman is responsible for a lot of deaths of black people. The white woman has probably about as many deaths under their belts as the Ku Klux Klan. Because we do know, history has proven that white women were extremely abusive to slaves, that they were often get so caught up beating their slaves that they would literally beat them to death. And children were also beaten to death by white women. It becomes so frequent that they came up with a law to protect the white woman. For when her beatings went too far and it took a life. Their stories that we will never know are probably more horrific than anything we could ever consume in our lives. But the stories we do know of white women beating slave children to death, there is a pattern here. They would be so pissed off that they can't keep their husbands, they couldn't keep their husbands off a slave roll. They took it out on the innocent babies, as if they asked to be a product of that rape. Because that's what it was, rape. And the white woman would be so infuriated, and she couldn't take it out on the man who committed the crime. She took it out on the innocent child who couldn't defend themselves, and often beat those children to death. I'll never forget, I read this story, this life story of a young slave girl. When the book started, when you start the chapter in the book started with her giving birth to her, I think it was 20th child. And she was a very young girl. And she died in that birth. The little girl that was born from that birth was the slave master's daughter. And of course the little girl came out looking just like him, lily white. And the daddy, the white guy that fathered the child, he made the child, his daughters by his wife, playmate, which they often did. They slept in the room with them. They slept on a little cot by their bed. They often let the children put their feet on their stomachs to keep their feet warm. Anyway, the little girl was born from that slave girl. She was, as I said in the story, she was the slave master's daughter, playmate. Well, whenever the slave master left to take care of business or whatever, the white woman would torture the baby. She would torture the little girl. In one scene they described, she had the little girl in a closet tied up by her thumbs, hanging by her thumbs, and left her in there for days. So this is a true story, by the way. It was a true story. So we see there is a pattern of the viciousness of white women that they are capable of doing. There is a pattern of it. They won't like it when it's being discussed, but it really is part of their DNA. Which brings me to the story today of the nurse in the IC unit for children, for babies. The 26-year-old white nurse that was going around breaking the bones of black babies that was already in ICU. That's who they are. I know everybody's all, oh my God, oh shock. I'm not shocked and I'm not in awe. I really am not. Because, sad to say, it's part of their DNA. They have been groomed for violence against the indefensible. Because in slave days, you couldn't strike a white woman back. So she got to get out all her frustration, all her anger on you. And sometimes you survived the attacks and sometimes you didn't. Well, we fast forward to today. That is still within them. It's just still within them. For you to be able to go into an area where babies, newborn babies, who haven't even have the ability to speak, so you know they haven't done anything to anyone. For you to be able to go in there and attack those babies that are already dealing with serious life medical issues, that means you have no soul. You have no soul. You are giving in to your instinct, your basic instinct that was groomed and passed down to you through your ancestors. You have a history of violence toward black people. And the young nurse, 26 years old, who I'm sure did it more than what she got caught for, going around abusing, breaking the bones of newborn babies. You have to have a serious malfunction in your human makeup, in being a human being. There's things that you are missing. You're like a serial killer who was born missing empathy and compassion. I want to say that a lot of y'all history groomed serial killers. A lot of y'all patterns of displaying torture, of debuting beatings, of using incidents like lynching as a public form of entertainment, it scarred y'all. It desensitized y'all. Y'all have no empathy for people in pain. You have no compassion for watching somebody be tortured because you were reared that way. Whenever a slave was beaten, he was beaten in front of people. There's this one movie, when it comes on, they're showing a clip where the slave owners, they had this huge event. A lot of rich white people were around. And they brought this slave in front of this group of people. And they actually beat and burned that slave to death in front of everybody. Just like it was as normal as watching a kickball game. It was just as normal. You have to understand, all those years that y'all bred that behavior, that y'all celebrated that behavior, that y'all uplifted that behavior, you created serial killers. You created people who could detach from another human being. You created a whole race of people who can look at people and not see them as a human being. So that way they can validate their violent attacks on them. And it's all the way up to 2025. And the example is the young lady, the nurse, the 26-year-old, I can't remember her name, Virginia or something. I don't want to say it because I'm not sure of it. But I'm sure everybody has heard about it by now. Well, she's a product of her ancestors. She's a product of how white people were raised, groomed, molded, created. Did y'all ever stop to think why the most violent of the violent people is majority white? And it's funny because you don't want to be connected to the violent and the horrific deeds of your race. But you have no problem taking an incident from one black person and making it the whole entire black race. All of this is going to come to a head. You will reap what you sow. What you have coming will come. Just be ready for it. Well, I just read another report. It seems that a 60-year-old nurse by the name of David Buchanan out of Detroit was arrested for breaking the bones of 66 African American newborns in the ICU unit. Yeah, another one. What did I say? A part of their what? A part of their what? Yeah, part of their DNA. This nurse, male nurse, 60 years old. Can you imagine how much damage he has done that he was never caught for? They just now finding out about the 66 babies. 66 newborn babies in the ICU. He broke their bones. When I tell you it's part of their DNA, I'm not lying. Yeah. This is what they do. This is a type of demonic, evil, treacherous crap that's a part of their DNA. How could you to a newborn baby? But then again, I always told you that they were groomed to be able to disconnect from the human race of anyone that did not look like them. So it's easy for them to look at an African American baby and don't see a human being. They don't even see a baby. Let's not forget, this is the same race of people that use black babies, the slave babies back in the day. They used them as gator bait. Yeah. They would put the babies out there to coax the gators up on the land. Same people. This is why our history does not want to be taught. Because it shows you the true face of the white race. It shows you their evilness. It shows you their ability to torture innocent human beings. It shows you the fetish they have for violence, for watching the flesh be ripped off someone's bones. They have a fetish for that. That's why it has lasted hundreds and hundreds of years. This is what they crave. And the truth be told, what's going on today, what we're witnessing today with white people, is the fact that they haven't been able to raid a town or a small city in years. They haven't been able to go on their killing sprees. You know, like Black Wall Street, Rosewood, you know, and other little unfortunate cities and towns that someone said a black person did something, and it was just the excuse the white people needed to go over there and do the pillaging, to do the raping, the killing, the torturing. Think about it. When's the last time they've been able to do that? Can someone tell me the last city that was burned down, attacked, and people were killed, and they were maimed and tortured, raped? When was the last time that was recorded? Because that's the last time they've been able to get that out of them. And all this civil war that they're running for, they are biting at the bits to be able to go back to what they do, which is kill, murder, rape, pillage, torture. They haven't been able to do that in a while, and it's driving them insane. That's why they run around here, this Trump country. Oh yeah, make America white again. What came with white America was black people's torture, death, rapes, destruction. And they were allowed to do that freely with no repercussions, no consequence, no punishment. You know how you get used to doing that when you've been able to run buck wild? It's like having a spoiled child you never told no. And the first time you tell them no, they lose it. It's the same thing with white people. They were never told you cannot do that. You shouldn't be doing that. At least not in a way that it mattered to them. So they continue this. All through Jim Crow, all through slavery, all through whatever. They've been able to do this. And they have been able to do it scot-free without 1 ounce of justice or backlash or repercussions. How many people do you think are in this world that are doing the same thing David Buchanan did and the other white nurse that I talked about yesterday? How many people do you think are out here in these positions that have access to these vulnerable people that have been doing it and have never been caught? Now, the young lady I talked about yesterday and David Buchanan, they both should be charged with hate crimes because they only targeted black babies. That's a hate crime. Yeah. So, when I say it's who they are, it's a part of their makeup, they prove me right with stories like this coming to surface. And with the hundreds and thousands and probably millions that will never see the light of day, it backs up every statement I've said, tracing back their history all the way back to slavery. They have a taste for blood that cannot be quenched. They have a desire to see people tortured and maimed, and to see them just terrorized. They have a taste for it in their mouths. And they have to have it like an addict has to have his drugs. So, in the age of reveal, know who your enemy truly is. And know the history of your people and the history of your enemy. Knowledge is power. Learn all you can so you know how to deal with your enemy. And the people that are running around here breaking babies' bones, newborn babies in ICU, black babies in ICU, they are our enemies. Know those people. Study them. So you know never to trust yours around them ever. And I know it sounds bad because you're saying all white people. I'm sorry. It's just the way you guys say all black people. But we have never been as dangerous to you as you have been to us. We have never attacked you on the level like you have attacked us. And we have never done anything to you to warrant the attacks. But you sure as hell have warranted some attacks from us. And it's not even in us to rise up and come after you. But don't get it twisted. Even a dog gets sick of being kicked. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Henrico County, to the front, please. Who else in Virginia? Long crime, y'all want to do something with yourself? Take y'all ass to Henrico County in Virginia. Now let's talk about it. Let's talk about Erin Strotman, NICU nurse. Yes, Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. Babies. These preemies. in this lady's care, Erin Elizabeth Ann Strotman, Strotman, okay? Whole name out there. Let me tell you what happened. So between November and December in the doctor's hospital in Henrico, 3 babies had unexplainable fractures. 3 melanated babies had unexplainable fractures while under this woman's care. So they start to investigate, but when they investigate, it seemed real similar to some shit that happened in summer of 2023, where 4 melanated babies had unexplainable fractures. Now, we all know that what I like to refer to as medical kidnapping happens way more often when you're a little bit melanated. And so any of these people whose babies were in that NICU, even though they were not at home with them, had my child been in the Neonatal Intensive Care Unit, and I came in there, came to see my baby, breastfeed my baby, what have you, and I ended up leaving, and my baby all of a sudden got a fracture, a broken leg, or anything like that, y'all have had them people up there. Y'all had the law waiting for me. I'd have never got to take my baby home. But oh no, not with no Strotman there. Not with no Strotman there. So they end up arresting this 26-year-old NICU nurse for all of these malicious woundings. But when it comes time for her to take her ass to court the other day, judge said ain't no cameras allowed. Why not? Why y'all just referring to not 3 babies, that's 7 babies? Why are we not saying that these babies are all melanated? Why are we not talking about Erin Elizabeth Ann Strotman? Why am I not seeing it anywhere? Henrico County, it's not enough for y'all to keep saying, oh, we gonna let you know. We gonna keep you updated. Don't worry, we didn't give her no bond. Damn the bond, hand me her. Where them parents at? Go ahead and stick her in that little room where they tell you all about what's gonna happen next with your treatment with one of them parents. Long crime, y'all want to do something with y'all cameras? Take y'all ass down to Henrico County when it's time for Erin Elizabeth Ann Strotman to take her ass inside that courtroom. Because no bond, I would say it ain't good enough. But somebody in there going to figure out what you was doing to them babies. Have fun with that.